Hello and welcome back to Old Man Advice. Glad you're here and get excited because the whole purpose of this video is to make certain that you are on the road to growing your wealth. And that means getting rich. You've probably heard the old saying or the old adage, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Well, I would suggest we modify that saying right now and make it today is the first day of the rest of your financial life. And the reason I say that is because if you put what you learn in this video into application, in other words, if you take action on what I'm about to tell you, and starting today or tomorrow, you actually start doing what I suggest, then get excited because you are going to be rich. It doesn't matter if you are a person of normal middle class means right now. Don't let that hold you back. You will be rich. And the reason I say for people under 29 is because people under 29 have the benefit of having a longer time horizon. And the longer your time horizon, the more years you have to save and let those savings grow, the more the chance is that you will be rich someday. Now, if you're over 29, don't get discouraged. You know, starting late is better than never. And you still have a chance to grow a lot of wealth that if you didn't watch this video and you didn't take these ideas into consideration and put them into action, then you wouldn't have extra accumulated money. So doing these things at any age helps, but if you're a teenager, if you're college age, if you're in your 20s, you have the best chance of growing a lot of wealth. Now, as this video is being recorded, we have just recently gone into a bear market. What that means is that from the market's peak, it's literally off or it's fallen by 20% or more. Now, that isn't good in the months and maybe the year ahead because there's a certain psychological component to the stock market, and because of the high inflation rate environment that we've been in the last year or so, it has really taken a toll on the stock market. And people in the stock market who invest, including the regular retail investors, the regular person that may work a regular 9-to-5 job and they invest on the side, or the professional institutional investors, they all have very grave concerns right now because inflation has been out of control. We're technically in a recession. There will be job losses in the near future. And generally that negative business environment has an impact on the stock market, and that's a negative impact. So right now it's hard to say when the market will bottom. It could bottom a month from now, it could bottom a year from now. So already stocks have fallen. So this may not be such a bad time for people to begin getting into the market in a kind of a reasonable way. We did have a great stock market rally that went on for 11 or 12 years, and for people that participated in that, they did very well. Now, if they were smart enough, if they had had the intuition to know to pull their monies out of the stock market when it peaked before this downward trend, then those people would have been able to lock in some great gains. But here are my 5 ideas on how you can be rich someday and what steps you need to take. And the first one is, I just mentioned the stock market. You need to really learn what the stock market is, how it works, and some of the most fundamental processes and principles and ideas of the stock market, so that if you get involved in the stock market, either making your own decisions, using a financial planner or a stockbroker, you'll understand how the stock market functions, and it will help you make decisions. Even if you just go into something like a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund, also known as an ETF. But here's some basic fundamentals about the stock market. The stock market itself is like a two-way auction. You have people that want to buy stocks, you have people that want to sell stocks. The people that sell the stocks want to get the highest price possible. The people that are buying the stocks want to get the lowest price possible. At some point, they have to come to some agreement about what the actual value or worth of that stock is, in their opinion, and then make the transaction. Now, some large brokerage firms keep their own inventory of stocks so they can keep kind of a liquid market in those stocks, just in case there's not someone right at that moment ready to sell. And the stock market has people who are traders that work on the floor of the big stock exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange. And so if you go into your brokerage firm or if you use some type of online brokerage and you place an order that you want to buy stock, then somebody on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange will bargain or make that trade to purchase that stock at the best possible price in most cases. Or it will come out of the inventory that's held by the stock brokerage firm itself. When you're evaluating stocks, there's many ways to evaluate a stock. The most basic way that someone just starting out can learn is called fundamental analysis, where you just kind of look over the fundamentals of the company. How much cash do they have on hand? What is their share price versus what is the actual value of the company? What is their price earnings ratio, which is looking at the current price of the stock versus how much dividends that stock is paying. There are a number of different variables and ways to evaluate a stock. One of the ones I suggested in another video that I think is a good way is that if it's a stock in a product or service that you use, that you just happen to like and that you think is a company that has a great future, then that alone may be well enough reason to get into that stock. Now, getting into an actual individual stock, a single stock, can sometimes be really risky, especially if we have a volatile market where stock prices are going up and down. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride that a lot of people don't want to take. So to even out some of that volatility, some people will get into an ETF, an exchange traded fund, or a mutual fund that might own a large basket of stocks, and that will smooth out the ride somewhat. And in that way, someone can just get into a fund that mirrors or reflects an actual index of stocks like the S&P 500 or the Russell 2000, where it just owns a whole bunch of stocks to reflect the broader market, or a person can get into an equity fund or a stock fund that's actively managed by a professional fund manager or several people, and then you would leave the decisions up to those people for buying and selling the stocks within that portfolio. But the important thing is that understanding these things and taking a little time to study stock fundamental analysis, or just understanding how stocks are valued, those kind of things will help you a lot as you just begin this journey. Because for people that have a long time horizon, if you are in your teens or 20s, generally the thing that has paid off the best in the past has been the stock market over a number of years. Right now, not necessarily, because we don't know in 5 months or 6 months what the stock market's going to look like based on what it has been doing recently. But as a general rule, going forward, regardless of what cycle of the stock market you're in, it's always good to understand a lot about the market. A lot of people put the emphasis on building assets to become rich and to be wealthy, and building the amount of assets that you have, either building a stock portfolio or building cash. But one thing a lot of people overlook while they're thinking about building assets is avoiding debt or liabilities. Now, debt, a lot of debt will hurt you. You can never really be rich if you're holding too much debt. I mean, for people that buy a house, for instance, and they have a mortgage, that's understandable debt, because the average person doesn't have $250,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 or more to go out and buy a house. They have to buy it on payments. But I would argue, as I used to tell my clients, and something I've practiced for many, many years, is I say it's far better to save up money if you need to buy a car, which is usually people's second biggest expense. And you can't call it an investment, because most cars aren't an investment. But I have always argued that the wise thing to do from a responsible money management position is to buy a car with cash. And when I say that, I mean drive a car that might not be the type of car that you dream of, but while you're driving the car that's kind of the beater car, the car that's not the incredible car, you are during that time saving extra money. Maybe open a special bank account that's called My Car Savings, or you know, the auto savings account, whatever. Name that specifically to have a specific purpose, and put extra money aside into that account every time you get paid, and make it a point not to touch that money. Know that that money is going to build up for the sole purpose of purchasing a car or a truck. And so what you do is you drive the car that might be the one that's the less attractive car for a time, until you can actually go out and pay cash for a car. And then you don't have payments, because the worst thing is car payments and paying interest on those payments, because that car that you buy, the day you drive it off the lot, it loses 15 or 20% of its value on that day if you buy a used car. And then over time, most cars depreciate, so they go down in value. This whole time, that they're going down in value, you're paying on a loan with interest payments that are causing your total payout with interest to be substantially more than the car cost you, and substantially more than the car will ever be worth again. So if you can save up money and pay cash for a car, that is one recommendation for reducing debt. And then the other one is that if you use plastic, if you use credit cards, I would recommend reducing the amount of credit cards you have down to maybe 1 or 2 at the most. And then make it a goal every month to pay off the total balance on that credit card. If you can't do that, then don't keep putting things on plastic. Don't keep putting things on the credit card, because you'll never dig your way out from underneath the debt. And when you have that debt, again, just like with the car, the accumulated interest, which could be 20 or 21 or 22%, will make it so that if you're paying minimum payments, you'll never dig your way out of that. And whatever you bought, whatever you paid for it, especially if you bought something on sale, it won't matter, because if you bought something for $100 and got it on sale for $80, but you're spending 5 years paying off a credit card debt at 20+% interest, guess what? Your whatever it was, the item you bought for $80 may end up costing you $150 in the end. It's a no-win proposition when you allow debt to overtake your money management, and you just can't do it. It's just a losing proposition. So my recommendation is pay off credit cards, and if possible, buy a car with cash. Don't use recurring debt, and don't have to pay. Don't put yourself in a position where you pay car payments, because nobody is going to get wealthy making car payments. If you have a $300 or $400 or $500 a month car payment, just think, if you can afford that, what you could do if you were putting that money aside, saving or investing. If you're investing in a down market that much money every month, and the market turns around, and the markets are cyclical, so if it turns around and starts and your portfolio starts growing, just think, all that money that would have been wasted on the car is instead growing to create wealth for you. So, now all of these things I'm telling you, especially in terms of saving and investing, putting money aside, they mean absolutely nothing, like I said at the beginning, unless you put it into action. Putting a plan like this into action is the real magic. It is the biggest single thing you can do to achieving your financial goals, is not watching a video like this and saying, oh yeah, that all sounds real interesting, and then the video's over and you don't do anything. You go back to your usual money management practices. No, the thing that will make you rich in the future is to watch this video, and then starting today or tomorrow, you actually begin investing. If you don't have a brokerage account, you open a brokerage account. If you have either an online account or an account at an actual brick and mortar type brokerage, you have to do it. You have to start. And at the very least, if you don't have money to get started in a brokerage, at least open a new bank account and start saving, and start putting money aside with the sole intention of it being a long-term savings. Because if you don't start, none of this means anything. You know, there's never going to be a change. There's never going to be a road to being wealthy and rich if you don't start it right now. So that's extremely important to do. And in order to achieve any amount of savings, you can't just open an account and then just say, well, you know, once in a while, if I have a little extra cash, I'll throw it at the account. You can't do that. You have to set real goals for yourself, and you have to stick to those goals. So in other words, in a situation like this, let's say you know that you have $100 of discretionary or disposable income every month. Now, in the current environment with inflation, high grocery prices, high gas prices and everything, it's tougher to have money left over out of a paycheck. But let's say that you figure that you can cut back on a few things you don't really need, and over a month's time you have an extra $100, maybe an extra $200. So what you need to do is you have to make a goal, and you have to be determined that that extra $100 or $200 is going to go into some form of savings every month, and that you stick to that goal every month. And then if you get a raise in pay at some point, you should make a goal to put as much of the pay increase into your savings as well. So let's say you get an extra $100 a month in a pay increase at some point, and it comes out to, let's say, $75 extra in your take-home pay. You should make a decision that you're going to put, let's say, an extra $50 into your savings. But just make it a goal every time. Write it down and decide that if you're looking at a future amount that you're going to make as a goal to save in 5 years from now, put those goals into incremental bites, so that you just bite off a little bit at a time, and you say, I'm going to save $100 a month now, and starting in 6 months I'm going to save $150 a month, or something like that. But write it down, decide that's what you're going to do, and then stick to your guns. Just do it. Now, one thing that a lot of people overlook is that if you work for an employer that has a retirement program, and let's say you work for a corporation and they offer a 401k plan, you work for a not-for-profit, a hospital or a school system, they offer a 403b plan, maybe you work for a county or a city or state and they offer a 457 plan. Any of these tax-favored retirement plans, definitely take advantage of them, and definitely put as much as you comfortably can into that plan. You can actually put more into the plan, and since it comes out before taxes, it doesn't affect your take-home pay by as much. This is a great way to build wealth because it's sheltered from taxes. And even if you get into, let's say your company offers a traditional 401k plan and they offer a Roth 401k, at least get into the Roth. You won't get the tax benefit as you pay the money in, but you'll get the tax benefit on the money that you earn, either the investment earnings or just the growth in your funds. And either way, you have a much better chance of growing wealth that way, because it's not getting eroded by taxes every year. If you use the Roth later on, when you start taking the money out, you won't have to pay taxes on it at that point. If you use the traditional 401k, you will pay taxes on it, but compared to just saving after tax, you'll be able to save more in most cases in the 401k plan. If you work for a school system, you're let's say a teacher or in some other ancillary position. If you work for a college, if you work for a hospital, nonprofit hospital, or a not-for-profit charitable organization, you may have a 403b plan you can use. And again, it's before tax. Take advantage of those plans. I mean, really, these are great instruments to use to grow wealth and to become wealthy. And I know firsthand, having been in that business years ago, that the people that got involved when they were very young, like when they were in their 20s and they were working in jobs that offered those programs, they ended up doing very well. They grew a lot of wealth. So that's those are my 5 suggestions to grow wealth. So just to recap, learn as much as you can about the stock market so that you can make some informed decisions that you understand. Even if you use a stockbroker or an investment advisor who are the experts, you'll still understand what's going on. Reduce your debt. Pay off credit cards every month. If you have credit card balances, be determined to get those paid off, and then don't charge more than you can pay every month. And if you can pay cash for a car and save, even if you have to drive a clunker for a while, do that. That's a great idea. Get started today. Put this idea into action. It doesn't do you any good to hear information like this and not act on it. That's the difference between people that are wealthy and people that wish they were wealthy. The people that were wealthy started doing what was recommended and started saving, started investing. It makes all the difference. And set goals. Write your goals down and set goals so that you are not like a rudderless ship, but you have something that you are aiming for, and that is your goal. And then number 5, if you have access to a 401k plan, a 403b plan, a 457 plan, any kind of tax favored plan, even if it's some type of group IRA, simple plan, take advantage of it. And in the 401k plans, often the employer offer to contribute employer money too. That's like free money. Don't pass that up. If they offer to pay, on your first 6% that you put into the plan, they will meet every dollar you put in with a dollar from the employer, 100%. By all means, do it. You're walking away from free money, so do it. I mean, it's a benefit. So thank you for watching this video. And if you would, please subscribe to this channel for more useful, worthwhile content. Like this video if you would. Click the reminders so that you know when new videos become available. And get excited, because this is the first day on the road to your riches.